name is Seth Morano, and today I want to introduce literature to you. Obviously, this is impossible, as literature is a massive body of work covering time periods, nationalities, and genres. Literature is an art form that reflects the cultures and movements of a society. It is flexible, providing readers not in the time, place, or demographic to experience a different world. Although traditional literature is usually thought of as mundane blocks of obsolete text, this cannot be further from the truth. Modern authors understand the need to engage a wider audience with more contemporary subject matters. A piece that is especially relevant to my surrounding world right now is the short story Heritage by Justin Torres. Torres combines exceptional literary technique with narratives that speak to broader questions of racial identity. Heritage by Justin Torres discusses, as one might imagine, questions of heritage and racial identity. To elaborate on the surface, Torres may be writing about a father or father figure, presumably Paps, dancing with the children, one of whom is the narrator character, telling us a story about his or her past to a fun mama beat while Pops cooks an authentic Spanish dinner in the kitchen. To borrow from cinema, Torres uses beautiful shots of the kitchen, such as pork chops frying in their own fat and Spanish rice foaming up and rattling in the lid. This gives the reader a sense of home and comfort. Pops is also wearing his bathrobe, twirling out around him as he dances. Shots of characterization and setting give readers a sense of detail, right down to who the mama is by, Tito Puente. Rather than stereotyping, Torres uses this exposition not only for setting a scene, yet also to demonstrate the importance of culture in this house, an intergenerational bond through dancing. Pops and the children seem to be having a wonderful time. Yet with any good story, there's conflict. This comes in the form of Paps' instructions to the children that have a racial and socioeconomic undertone. Now shake it like you're rich, and now shake it like you're poor can be easily understood by the children, as reflected by their haughty and downtrodden influences in their dancing, fitting for each social class. This includes sticking up our noses and poking at the air above us with our pinkies for the upper class, and we got low on our knees, clenched our fist for laborers. Recall that the children are the ones dancing, so a rudimentary understanding of social class is all they may know, their experience reflected in dance. Race is very similar in this regard. Now Shake It Like You're White is a stiff and angled dance devoid of much outward emotion. Quite a contrast. Now Shake It Like a Puerto Rican leads to an active mambo beat among the children, trying to be smooth and serious and to feel the beat in our feet. The children can understand, again, stereotypes of race through the artistic expression of cultural dance. White dancing in their minds is conservative without expression. Puerto Rican dancing is lively, following the constructs of mambo's percussion. Pops exclaims, "You ain't white and you ain't Puerto Rican." The children cannot follow the dance from the ghetto. The narrator says, "We tried to see what separated him from us." When he finished, he reveals, "This is your heritage," as if from this dance we could know about his own childhood. Pops is more ambiguous in his character due to the volume of the stereo and his established affinity for alcohol, so it was hard to tell if he was mad or just making fun. As evidence, Torres foreshadows these two traits. Pops watched us for a while, leaning against the counter, taking long draws from his beer, alongside Pops turned the stereo even louder, so loud that if we screamed, no one would have heard. This Is Your Heritage is climactic in several ways. By teaching through dance, rather than a serious conversation about race and identity, and the ramifications of discrimination, Pops can ensure that the children understand their own history, their own ancestry. As the narrator says, in clear retrospect, as if from the dance we could know about his own childhood, about the flavor and grit of the tenement buildings in Spanish Harlem and the projects in Red Hook. By combining illusion with personification, as if Puerto Rico was a man in a bathrobe, Torres can prove the connection between how people are tied to their ethnic and socioeconomic background, regardless of whether it is ideal. Pops chooses to embrace his upbringing by dancing in a mongrel style, despite his mixed past in the ghetto, and about his own pops, how he beat him, how he taught him to dance. There's evidence that Pops loved the children. He is cooking a delicious dinner for them after all, while warning them to watch out as he starts to dance. Pops' use of alcohol throughout the story and his remark of mutts may reveal, however, his serious qualms and how the children have yet to experience a hard upbringing such as his own. Literature allows people to see the lives of people who are different from the reader. This story is impactful to me because my life so far has been quite the opposite of the characters in the story. As we live in Florida, Mexican food is very popular in many communities. My family and I reap the benefits of having culture in my community. Yet with white skin, we avoid many of these social consequences and economic perils of the people who introduced that culture to my community. This is my heritage. Our family dinners are distinctly Western, leaning Italian instead of Spanish. Instead of tenement houses, our property is our own. Our music is anything from the Beatles to Beyonce. I've never heard of Tito Puente before Torres mentioned him. As a disabled person in an able-bodied household, I still sympathize with the biracial children who believe that society is like them. Some of the children are not aware that they are quite different from society, and people will perhaps perceive them as inferior. I am eternally grateful for the people who have accepted me in my life so far, yet as Torres demonstrates, people are not always tolerant to people who are of a different racial background from them. This is evidenced by the fact that Pops must teach them about race in the first place. If society were perfect, his lessons would not be necessary. The things my parents have taught me about disability would not be necessary. When children innocently ask me why I'm in a wheelchair or why I cannot walk, and answer that my legs are simply broken, this is my heritage. A heritage that contrasts against a society built upon ableism and the achievements of able-bodied people who can more easily access the resources necessary to improve on an artistic talent or gain the knowledge required for a professional career valued in such a society. Torres, through this short story, explores the emotions associated of being different from a wider society, known as a factor in how people are perceived and how people embrace their heritage to remember a history for future generations. A history that is far from a perfectly concise narrative. Thank you very much for listening.